Hello, everybody. This is Catholic Dad, episode number 434. What's the point of parenting? And so I've been thinking about this a little bit recently. What is the point of being a parent to your children? Is it to get them never to do wrong, or is it to teach them right or wrong, right? To form a good conscience. And in prior videos, I was talking about the development of a moral conscience. And so I'll give you an example in my household. I have 9 kids, just to reiterate. And every now and then, like, my kids will not receive the Eucharist, and they'll go to confession frequently, every week or something like that, or they'll shoot off to confession in the middle of the week. And every now and then, the mommy bear and my wife, she says, you think the kid's going to confession a lot, you think you need to talk to them about right and wrong? And my answer is no, actually not. They're going to confession. That's the point of the whole thing, right? Is that they recognize what they did in their life was wrong, and therefore they're going to go to confession. And then so is the point of parenting to get it so your kids never sin? And the answer is obviously no. That's not the point of parenting. The point of parenting is the development of a moral conscience, because if you try to make it so your kids never sin, that there's a name for that, and that name is tyrant. You become tyrannical, and you make it so that the kids in your household don't like being in the household, and that and they might not like the faith that's driving you to try to make them not sin. And that's how you create apostates. That's how you drive people away from the church, drive people away from God, because we all have these lower inclinations, and every one of us, even our children, have to attack these lower inclinations, discover what they are in our lives. I mean, every single one of us have different sins in our lives that we have to attack. We all have a proclivity towards different things. Some of us anger, some of us lust, some of us pride, some of us addiction, And so if you have these proclivities, you have to find out what they are. And if you do have these proclivities, you tend to actually act on them. And then a morally conscious life, recognizing that you shouldn't be acting on those things, is actually the point of life. It's like, literally, that's the sacramental life of the church, is you recognize you did wrong. That's the first part, right? And I've talked about in prior videos, hypocrites, you shouldn't be like the hypocrites. That's what the Bible says. Hypocrites don't apply sin to themselves, okay? And so they're not conscious of what they're doing is called sinning. And I made a video, a long time ago called "Strive to be a Sinner." And the point being is, once you realize that you're doing wrong, you're no longer a hypocrite, and now you're a sinner, right? And so you want to be that sinner. And that's the step towards holiness, is recognizing your own sin and what you're doing is wrong. And then once you realize that, you go make penance and amends for it. And that's called confession. And to verbalize it out to a third party, that's the priest in persona Christi. To make that's a transformative process. And when the priest says you're forgiven, go on your way, sin no more, that's how you reset. You take that garbage in your life and you throw it out. And so the point of parenting, by the way, parents, is not to make it so your kids don't sin. If you do that, you're not oriented properly, because then you become the tyrant, where you're trying to control all behavior and you can't, and then everybody hates each other. The point is to form a moral conscience in your children, so that they can analyze their own personal lives. You teach them a prayer life, you teach them an adoration life, and you teach them a penance life, the sacramental life of the church. That's the development of a unique moral conscience, where you can actually decide what is right and wrong on your own, right? Through your own heart, what's written down in your heart. And then when you realize you do wrong, you go and make amends for it. And if your child's doing that, and your child's going to confession frequently, you did a good job, parents, I promise you. And you're like, well, maybe I didn't because they're sinning a lot. No, because that's not your job anymore. Like when your kids are little, you fill them up with your life, because you as a parent are all your kids really need. But you mostly fill them up with Jesus and the church, because one day you won't be enough for them, and they're going to need something to restrain their passions, their fallen nature, and whatever else. And so the point of parenting is, to form a well-formed moral conscience, but essentially what that means is to fill them up with the Lord and His church. Well, anyway, I guess that was just one way to think about it. And if you're a parent that seems to be bickering and fighting and nagging your children a lot, which a lot of parents do that, maybe step back a little bit and have a more refined conversation about issues of right and wrong and moral conscience in a very calm manner. And then if they choose to make amends for it, with regards to the sacramental life of the church, then you've done your job. And you got to make it a place that's welcome. And your house, by the way, your house is, it's like that's your own church, you know, that's the domestic church. And that you need to make that a place where children feel welcome. And I know a lot of kids have a lot of fallen natures, and some of them I haven't had to deal with as a parent. I know some of them like just kind of grind your stomach. But use that as a way to pray for your children. Don't do it as a way to attack your children or nag them or harm them in any way or make them feel like they're not welcome under your roof. Because I'll tell you what, for every time you're pointing that finger at the splinter in your kid's eye, you got a beam sticking out. And I mean, we as parents are still learning all the time, you know, and that's what kids need to realize, is that this thing called sacramental life of the church, this thing called holiness, this thing called striving to be Christ-like, this is a marathon, lifelong journey, right? And when the kid problems, everybody recognizes them because we were all once kids one day. Adult problems are just big problems with bigger problems. You know, it's like adult problems are just little kid problems, just bigger, you know, and so we're still fighting ourselves. And so make your kids feel comfortable at home. Don't be a tyrant. Try to inform their conscience and let them make their own decisions on that. And be there to guide them. Okay, well anyway, so get to church, pray the daily rosary, live a sacramental life, and love your kids like no other. Okay, God bless you all. Bye.